BookTube. Happy New Year. I will just start by saying I'm very sorry that I haven't been on since the end of December. The first couple of weeks of January have very much just been devoted to either working or in my evenings preparing for this conference that took place or is taking place this weekend. A friend of mine and I were hosting a session which took place today. I think we did a very good job. And I look forward to hearing the rest of the sessions. However, actually had to prepare for it, hence why I haven't really been on. I did actually manage to get some reading done the past couple of weeks, which is good. One of my New Year's resolutions is to actually read and finish a book a week, which might actually sound like a pretty easy task for a lot of you. However, I had a very terrible reading year last year, despite the fact that everyone supposedly has more time on their hands due to not being able to really go out anywhere. I feel like the exact opposite. Work really picked up for me last year, and this year I just want to take some more time back and actually do some more reading. So 52 books a year. I'm off to a pretty reasonable start these first couple of weeks of January. However, who knows what is going to happen this year. I'll stop rambling, take a sip of my gin, my celebratory gin, which is in a plastic cup. But I'll actually start talking to you about the books that I've been reading and what I picked up. So first one is a Kindle read, and this book is actually pertinent to the conference session that I hosted today. The author, Chip Colwell, I'll put his name in the description. I can't pronounce his last name, unfortunately. However, he wrote a lot of articles that I actually found useful for the conference that I was hosting on Indigenous archaeology and ethnography. So the book that he wrote is a biography on Arthur C. Parker, one of the first professional archaeologists in the States. He's also one of the first Native American archaeologists. Arthur C. Parker is part Seneca, and in one of my previous videos, I think I mentioned that he's one of the grand nephews of Eli Parker, who was the one who wrote out the Terms of Surrender at Appomattox. In any case, I digress. I will do a more in-depth book review on this biography. From speaking to a lot of my viewers, I know that you are interested in archaeology, so I think it would be very useful and enjoyable for many of you to actually hear this biography and have a book review. So the second book that I finished in January is The Greatest Knight by Thomas Asbridge, and this is about William Marshall, one of the knights who served 5 kings from Henry II to King Henry III. He also served Eleanor of Aquitaine. He lived to the ripe old age of 72, so he's definitely seen some things. But I really enjoyed this book as a biography, not only because it was very informative, well, especially because it was informative, not least because I feel like legendary figures like William Marshall in media and film are portrayed as being very one-dimensional. The film that comes to mind is the one with Russell Crowe. I think it's called Robin Hood. I can't quite remember the name. However, William Marshall plays a part in this film. He's portrayed as very loyal, righteous. However, there was so much more to him than just that. You know, there's more about knighthood than just being chivalrous and showing fidelity to your lord. Knights could actually demand rewards and favors as a part of this, you know, reciprocal system of the lords providing land, food, shelter, and whatnot to their lords. Sorry, to their knights. However, the knights actually were able to demand these rewards off of their lords in order to gain favor and renown, I suppose. Anyways, I digress. I'm not trying to say that he was only out to serve his own self-interests. You know, he was a very loyal guy. He served that family and even King John, who, as we all know, was a huge jerk. But just really enjoyed this. From the time he was 5 and his father ransomed him off to King Stephen. Um, yes, his father did that when he was 5. To, you know, the end of his life where he served as a regent for Henry III. Rose to unimaginable heights for a man who was born a second son in England. I really appreciated this book just for its critical look at this very noble man's life. So anyways, the other reason why I wanted to hold off on doing this video is because I did sort of go on a mini spree online, but the first 3 books that I purchased were Kindle books, and you know, I actually want to have something to show you guys rather than just holding up this every single time. But I'll show you the 2 books that I got in a second, but I'll start with the Kindle reads. So 2 of the other reading goals that I have this year are A, to not read as many biographies and to read more overarching, you know, historical overviews of time periods and certain events, to read more critical histories, and also to read less about the medieval period and more about other time periods. So ancient history and also the American Civil War are 2 areas that I really want to read more topics. Those are topics that I'd like to read more on. And having said that, I still did get to arguably 3 biographies and then 3 books on medieval history. However, they do somewhat align with my reading goals. So the first one that I got is by, sorry, insert music here. So this one is The Emperor Charlemagne, and this is by E.R. Chamberlain. So last year I read a lot of biographies on kings and queens of England, however, not that much of anything else. So I'm interested on reading this book on Charlemagne. I don't know anything about the author. I haven't even read the review. I just saw that it was under £2 and I was like, great, get in the basket, I'm buying it. So it should be interesting, and I look forward to actually reading that as a surprise. The second one that I got, where did that go? Sorry. Go to reading list. Sorry. I'm not even going to edit this out, sorry. Well, I can't remember what the second one was. Oh, yeah, of course. It's Philip and Alexander by Adrian Goldsworthy. This was the only book that I got that wasn't about really the medieval period, and also about the American Civil War. It is still a biography, however, so, but I mean, at least I tried, you know, branching out. And I'm a bit late to the game on this one. I think it was written last year or the year before, still quite new. However, from the reviews that I was hearing online and reading about, it seems like it's a real good book, not only because it's quite lengthy and well researched, apparently. However, it also focuses on Philip II, whereas many of the resources for Macedonia, I think, just tend to focus on Alexander. So I'm looking forward to reading that. The third Kindle read that I got, and it seems like I'm having a very difficult time actually finding anything in my reading list. However, it's called Lincoln's Notebooks. And if I can actually find it, I'll put the author in the description. But I feel like I could actually just read this as more of a, you know, something as a lighthearted read at the end of the day that doesn't require much thought. So it's just letters that he's penned, speeches, I think some love letters that he wrote to his girlfriend before he married Todd. So I picked that up because Lincoln, again, going back to the whole one-dimensional characters of legendary figures in the past, I sort of put him on a pedestal, and I just want to understand the more comical side of him, and I guess learn more about the other facets of his personality rather than just the you know, the hero that he was. So those were the Kindle reads, and then the final two books, I promise there's an end to this. These are both medieval, however they aren't biographies. So the first one is The Making of Europe, Conquest, Colonization, and Cultural Change. So the reason I picked this up, as I mentioned, I read a lot about the Plantagenet kings and queens, whereas this focuses on France, Germany, Northern Italy, and it's an overarching history rather than just, you know, a biographical focus. And then this one, I imagine that there's going to be a lot of overlap in these two books. This is by Tom Holland, and it's called Millennium. However, it focuses more on the earlier end of the scale from this one. So this is 950, whereas this starts in 900, pretty much finishes around the year 1000. So I'm thinking, yeah, it's going to focus on William the Conqueror, Otto, Vikings, you know, Western Europe. You know, all of these things I have a very good understanding of, I think. However, again, I just need to stop reading as many biographies as I don't need to. Reading should be something that you enjoy, but I feel like the reason I read personally, the reason I read so many nonfiction historical books is because I want to learn, and I want to make sure that I'm, you know, broadening my horizons and reading as much as I can, and incorporating variety rather than just solely focusing on, you know, the Plantagenet kings and queens of England, as fascinating as they are. So I'll finish rambling and end by saying that what I'd like to do more of this with this channel, rather than just using it as sort of a de-stressing something where I just log on at the end of the day and sort of use it as a tool to get rid of my anxiety. I actually want to do stuff for you, as in provide more book reviews, in-depth analyses. So that's one of my goals for this channel this year, is to actually bring you content that is meaningful. So yes, in the next couple of weeks, well, in the next week, I'll hop on and actually do a book review on one of those books that I just mentioned. Until then, have a great Friday. I know I will. I've got my gin. And have a great weekend and stay safe.